Welcome back to Weird to Know's Mega Quiz. 25 more strange facts from history. Every single one is real. 10 seconds each. Let's see how many you can get. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing than to what ancient Egyptian achievement? The pyramids.
The Great Pyramid was built around 2560 BC. Cleopatra lived around 30 BC. That means the pyramids were more ancient to her than she is to us. She's roughly equidistant between the pyramids and the iPhone.
Ancient Egyptians treated infected wounds with what surprising food? Accidentally inventing antibiotics? Moldy bread.
Specific types of mold produced natural antibiotic compounds that killed infection. Egyptian physicians wrote about this treatment over 3,000 years ago, roughly 4,800 years before Alexander Fleming officially discovered penicillin in 1928.
Romans cleaned their togas by soaking them in what surprising substance? Urine.
Ammonia in stale urine breaks down stains and grease beautifully. Public urinals in Rome were leased to laundries, and Emperor Vespasian even taxed the urine trade, coining the Latin phrase meaning money doesn't stink.
The English word salary comes from a Latin word for what? Salt.
Roman soldiers received part of their pay specifically to buy salt, a precious preservative in the ancient world. The Latin word salarium literally means salt money. It also gives us the phrase, worth his salt.
Ancient Greek Olympic athletes wore what during competition? Nothing.
The Greek word gymnasium literally means place to train naked. Athletes oiled their bodies and competed without clothes. The games were exclusively for men. Women were banned from even watching, reportedly on penalty of death.
Compared to other medieval Europeans, Vikings were notably better at what daily practice? Personal hygiene.
Vikings bathed weekly, far more often than other medieval Europeans. Archaeologists have found their grooming kits with tweezers, ear spoons, and combs. To other medieval cultures, this level of cleanliness seemed almost suspicious.
The 100 Years' War actually lasted how many years? "116 years.
The conflict between England and France ran from 1337 to 1453, 116 years total. It was actually a series of related wars with long pauses, but historians grouped them as one for convenience. The name stuck despite the math.
The shortest war in recorded history lasted how long? About 38 minutes.
On August 27, 1896, Britain bombarded Zanzibar's palace at 9:02 a.m. By 9:40 a.m., the conflict was over. The new sultan had refused to step down, and Britain had demanded he abdicate within hours of taking the throne.
In 1952, Albert Einstein was offered the presidency of which country? Israel.
The offer came after the death of Israel's first president, Chaim Weizmann. Einstein declined immediately, calling himself unsuited for politics. He felt he lacked, in his words, both the aptitude and experience to deal properly with people.
In 1932, the Australian military deployed troops to fight and lose to what? Amos.
Drought drove tens of thousands of emus into Australian farmland. The military deployed 2 machine gunners. The emus scattered in unpredictable small groups and proved nearly impossible to hit. The war was officially abandoned, and the emus won.
In the Aztec Empire, what was commonly used as actual money? Cocoa beans.
Aztecs traded with cacao seeds. About 100 beans bought a turkey, 30 bought a small rabbit. Counterfeiters shaved beans hollow and refilled them with mud. The Spanish were astonished to find a civilization that essentially grew money on trees.
The groom of the stool, one of the most coveted positions in King Henry VIII's court, was responsible for what? The king's toilet.
Despite the duties, the position was extremely prestigious. The groom had constant private access to the king, often the only one allowed to discuss state matters during the act. Some grooms became enormously wealthy and politically powerful.
In the year 897, Pope Stephen VI famously put what unusual defendant on trial? A corpse.
Stephen exhumed his predecessor, Pope Formosus, dressed the rotting corpse in papal robes, propped it on a throne, and conducted a full church trial. Formosus was, predictably, found guilty. Stephen himself was strangled in prison within months.
In 1233, Pope Gregory IX issued a papal decree declaring which animal was in league with Satan? Cats.
The papal bull Vox in Rama linked cats to Satan, sparking mass killings across Europe. Some historians believe the resulting rat population explosion helped spread the Black Death decades later, though the connection remains debated.
When Spanish conquistadors arrived in 1519, how did the Aztec capital Tenochtitlan compare in size to European cities? Bigger than any.
Tenochtitlan held about 200,000 people, larger than Paris, London, or Rome at the time. Built on an island in a lake, it featured aqueducts, floating gardens, and canals. The conquistadors compared it to a fantasy novel.
How old was Joan of Arc when she was burned at the stake? "19.
She led French armies to victory at Orléans at 17, was captured at 18, tried as a heretic, and burned at 19. 25 years later, the church reversed the verdict. Centuries after that, she was made a saint.
Vlad the Impaler, the historical inspiration for Dracula, was famous for taking his meals where? Among his victims.
Vlad III of Wallachia impaled an estimated 20,000 enemies, Ottomans, traitors, and political rivals. He reportedly dined at outdoor tables, surrounded by the dying. Bram Stoker borrowed his name. Dracula means son of the dragon.
Prague's 3 famous defenestrations all involved political enemies being killed how? Thrown out windows.
Prague had defenestrations in 1419, 1483, and 1618. The 1618 incident, Catholic governors hurled from a 70-foot window, started the 30 Years' War. Remarkably, all 3 survived the fall, landing in what witnesses described as a pile of manure.
Who reached the Americas about 500 years before Columbus did? The Vikings.
Around the year 1000 AD, Leif Erikson led a Norse expedition that reached what's now Newfoundland, Canada. The settlement at Lands aux Meadows lasted about a decade before being abandoned. It's the only confirmed pre-Columbian Norse site in North America.
George Washington's false teeth were famously not wooden. They were actually made from what? Human and animal teeth.
His dentures contained hippopotamus ivory, gold, lead, and human teeth, some likely purchased from enslaved people on his estate. The teeth were screwed into a metal base. The wooden teeth myth comes from staining that made the ivory look like wood grain.
The Hindenburg disaster might have been prevented if the United States had been willing to sell Nazi Germany what? Helium.
The Hindenburg used flammable hydrogen because the U.S., the world's only major helium producer, refused to export it to Nazi Germany. Had the airship been filled with non-flammable helium as originally designed, the 1937 disaster almost certainly couldn't have happened.
In 1962, a single Soviet submarine officer named Vasili Arkhipov is credited with preventing what? Nuclear war.
During the Cuban Missile Crisis, U.S. ships dropped depth charges on the Soviet submarine B-59. The captain wanted to launch a nuclear torpedo. 3 officers had to agree to fire. Arkhipov refused. The world was likely minutes from full nuclear exchange.
Plague doctors wore famous beaked masks filled with what? Herbs and spices.
Doctors believed disease spread through bad air, so they packed the beaks with lavender, mint, cloves, and other strong-smelling herbs. The masks didn't actually filter germs, but they did mask the smell of death, which was constant.
Who is widely credited as the world's first computer programmer, writing code in the 1840s? Ada Lovelace.
Working with Charles Babbage on his unbuilt analytical engine, she wrote what's considered the first algorithm designed to be processed by a machine. She also predicted computers would one day compose music, 100 years before anyone built one.
True or false? The Great Wall of China is visible from space. False.
The myth was popularized by a 1932 Ripley's Believe It or Not cartoon. It's actually impossible. The Great Wall is too thin. Astronauts have repeatedly confirmed they can see highways and airports from orbit, but not the Great Wall.
That's a wrap. If you got more than 15 right, you really know your history. Hit subscribe for a new mega quiz every Saturday. See you next time.